So I'm not telling people, look, the approach could be not too much of classical. Like sometimes when we approach classical music, we take the stuff that is the most uncommon song sometimes.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Sometimes it's better to take something that people have heard and start working on that, and then approach the more difficult things.
Okay.
And also, when you're taking a song, don't take the most difficult song just because you like it.
Yeah.
You need to look at your voice register, you need to see what your parameters are and what your strengths and weaknesses, and then select a song accordingly.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people think, okay, that's a nice song, and then they try and sing it, and
it becomes too heavy. I think that is what Ishan is trying to say. You go for a classical concert, you like to hear some tunes which you've heard before.
Yes.
And you need to position some of the serious new stuff in the adequate places. I mean, there are some who say they love classical music and they are sort of authorities on classical music, and they go and clap between movements, which doesn't make sense. So obviously that means people don't know. So people need to be educated. The younger generation needs to be educated more. So it's a question of how do you go out? How do you go and spread the message to them to show that it is adaptable to the modern generation?
Okay.
That's left to people to understand and come out with certain plans.
Well, it's been amazing talking to both of you, and what I noticed is that actually today's show is all about how classical music should be evolved, just like they were talking about, to be evolved to adapt some taste to this younger generation, and also to match the younger generation. So we really appreciate the work that you guys do in order to do that, and in order to get some taste out of the modern generation for classical music by the work that you guys do. So we were very privileged to have you here, and it was a wonderful experience. I'm sure that everybody out there would agree with me as well.
Absolutely right, and I think we had a wonderful session as well, and we're going to take a short commercial break, but don't go anywhere because more to come. Welcome back to GMSL. Good morning, Sri Lanka. We're very, very excited today because not just the normal theme that we have today, it's all about music and classical music at that. And of course, we go on to a level where we focus on different types of genres as well. So more about that with Anupama coming on the show. But before that, let me introduce my very, very good friend, Dr. Sumudita Suruvira, who is just on my left side, and of course, Shamista De Silva as well, with her guitarist Shane, of course, Anupama.
Welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka, all of you guys. We are very, very privileged to have you. Especially, we actually see a fusion of ethnic music and Western music right now on the couch. Right,
yes, I think that's the best mix that you can ever get on a TV show, and I think we're very grateful for the fact that you guys are here together on the show.
Okay, the very first question I'm going to ask Dr. Suruvira. Doctor, you have a doctorate of ethnomusicology. Tell us what's it about, and does it actually sound complicated as it sounds? Is it actually complicated as it sounds?
Yeah, basically, to simply put it, ethno is ethnic music of non-Western cultures, and musicology is music research. So it's music study of non-Western cultures. And my area of kind of speciality is the traditional Sri Lankan music, especially the drumming from the south and the west.
Right. So I actually found out a very interesting word in your music industry, Baliphonics. It comes from the Bali of the Low Country, I guess.
Yeah, that's a particular group I have. It's a project of mine where we are trying to adapt the Bali is a ritual type of ritual in the Low Country. Yes. And we are trying to adapt that music into a contemporary kind of a modern setting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, because actually Bali and Low Country music is actually very it's very classical, it's very ethnic, and trying to get it into contemporary music must be very interesting. How do you look at it?
Yeah, it's quite a challenge, especially to kind of.
It's on screen right now.
Yeah.
You see?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this actually happened a few years ago, and it has evolved since then. Since this was in 2008, I think.
Yes,
or
as you can see, there's a lot of rituals involved. It's very from the Sri Lankan village, basically, when you actually study that,
Yeah.
right? So how do you generate with modern music, contemporary music?
Basically, our biggest challenge in this is to kind of collaborate with that music in
Exactly.
such a way,
Yes.
in such a way that it doesn't demean it or put it down or kind of.
Right.
So for that, we've kind of really had to think about it and not kind of taking the most easily accessible parts of that music and overusing it. So
Yes.
that's
Okay.
the hard part.
We heard that you have a very peculiar drum
Drum.
set. You want to talk about it?
A hybrid drum set? Yeah, please tell us
Yeah,
about that.
because he's got a hybrid drum set at that, so we're going to know more about
Yes.
it right now.
But it's again, it's this low country drumming has been a
Okay.
kind of a really long study of mine.
All right.
And because I come from a Western jazz background, I have now kind of, I could say, I've adapted the low country drumming.
Okay.
And there's small dowler attached to this drum set, I heard?
Yeah.
Right. So, so basically
Very
you must have done a lot of experiments
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
come up in that situation. Okay, Shami, so moving on to you. You are an example of modern classical music, I must say. Modern and classical, it's such an oxymoron. So, tell us, how does it work for you? How do you play Tchaikovsky and then how do you just go on and play Alisher Keys next? How do you do that balance?
Well, for me, like, I've been doing music since I was really, really small.
Yes.
And from the time I was small, I didn't just do classical or I didn't just do pop. And even when I say pop, I'm more into R&B and soul music. So my cello playing was of a different genre. My piano and singing was of a different genre. And I loved it all. So it didn't really, there was no problem for me in, like,
Right.
even
You
mixing the
embraced it
two
all
or whatever.
together.
Yeah, I mean, I played the cello for like rock concerts or pop music.
That's amazing.
So I didn't really have a problem with separating the two or doing it together.
Right.
I liked it all the same.
So, Shamista, how has classical music has influenced you
Yes.
in life as a musician, as an individual?
I think knowing classical music is the foundation for any musician, whether you end up being it's like dance as well, like even hip-hop dancers, most good dancers come from a ballet background.
All right.
Right.
So I think most musicians in that sense, if you know a bit of classical music, it helps because
It's
it
always
gives you the
better.
grounding. It's
Yeah.
like the foundation
Yeah, exactly.
for you to become a better musician. So it pretty much it helped me along the way. So
Hey, Dr. Surivir, do you agree with what Shamista said right now?
I think, I think to kind of come out of any tradition, you need to study it well. I think that's what she's saying, whether it be classical or jazz or to kind of experiment and adapt it to a modern setting. The more in depth you know it,
Yes,
the
of
more
course, the
successful
better.
you
Yeah.
can.
So, Shamista, from that point onwards, you have an incredible voice.
Yes.
I was just blown
actually-
away, all right?
yeah.
Yeah, just
So
before.
privileged to hear one of her practice sessions.
Exactly, and we're going to do it now, right?
amazing.
Yeah,
Alright.
we will.
okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some people live for a fortune. Some people live just for the fame. Some people live for the power. Yeah. Some people live just to play the game. Some people think that the physical things define what's within. And I've been there before, but that life's so bold, so full of the superficial. Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby, if I ain't got you, baby,
I think
Wow.
I'm going to have the greatest day today ever.
Yes.
And I
Which has jump-started our
No.
day in an amazing way.
loved it, absolutely loved it.
I know, you're
You
so
have actually
blessed.
put a great, new, complete and utter new twist
Yes.
to this generation. Yeah.
That's
Anupama,
amazing. That's
I mean,
just
yeah.
amazing. How do you do that? How do you manage to? I mean, normally, ordinarily, people of our generation, you know, this current generation, would think that classical music is boring, and they would just directly want to sing something by Alicia Keys or Beyonce, just like you did right now. But tell us about what you did to create your your foundation in classical music. How do you make it not boring?
Well, I don't think it's boring in the first place. I think it's learning to appreciate all kinds of music and learning to experiment with different genres of music. Because I think what happens is most people my age, they stick to listening to one kind of genre, the hip kind of music. And most of that music is not really the best kind of music. I mean, that I think they should be listening to.
Okay.
But I mean, I understand where they're coming from. If they're not from a musical background, they wouldn't want to listen to classical music. But I was lucky enough to be brought up in that kind of background, and I was lucky enough, he's actually one of my teachers.
Right.
So I was lucky enough to have people like them around me, influencing me to experiment, to listen to other genres of music.
Yeah.
So I think everyone just needs to broaden their spectrum and think
Exactly.
outside the box,
Yes.
as opposed to just listening to either techno or just
Yeah,
hip hop or
true.
that.
So moving on to a question about your cello playing. You're a cellist. My sister plays the cello, so I
really?
can quite relate to this because it takes a lot of discipline to play the
Yes,
cello,
it does.
right? I mean, you're literally holding it up, right? So how do you do that? I mean, does it take balance? Does it take a lot of discipline to do that?
You mean to hold the cello?
Yeah, and play it.
Oh, okay, no, holding the cello, no, there's a thing called a stay.
Right.
And there's a pin which you keep on the stay. So holding it is not a problem. But
Okay.
playing it, yes, there's a lot of discipline involved. You have to really be focused. There's a lot of practicing involved. There's a lot of research you have to do on your own. You have to do your scales, your arpeggios
Yes.
before you start playing a piece. And even pieces you have to work on bar by bar sometimes.
Yes, I know.
So, but the end result is just so fabulous. And the cello is such a beautiful instrument. So, I mean, it's
Of
like
course.
worth the long rehearsing hours.
I think emotion and everything plays part in music, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
So, Doctor, getting back to you, I think you chose drumming because of a specific reason. I want to know why. Is it because it's the most expressive form of music? Because when you're sad, you can just play the drum and be like, "I'm sad right now," or you're really happy, you go for it. Why?
Actually, it's funny. I started off playing piano, and I didn't. I moved. My family moved to New Zealand when I was quite young,
Okay.
and I didn't choose. I wasn't one of those guys who were playing pots and pans when I was 6.
Okay.
It just happened so that I think maybe my music teacher saw some potential in me, and there was a place in the small orchestra that we had for the
Okay.
percussion role.
All right.
So I just took that up, and it kind of just went from there.
That's how it began.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, all three of you, for making
Yes.
it to studios with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you so
for
much.
having
And yeah, we should do a show together, Anupama, one day soon, with again on classical music. Well, we're going to take a short breather right now, but up next we've got more coming up, especially Tehani Tisera is